The major value in life is not what you get. The major value in life is what you become. Those words have always rung true to me, and today I want to explore with you one of the most powerful ways we can shape who we become by taking control of our minds. You see, folks, your mind is like a garden, and what you plant in that garden determines what grows. Now, I'm not talking about planting tomatoes or cucumbers. I'm talking about the seeds of thought, the seeds of habit, the seeds of discipline that you plant every single day. Let me ask you this. Have you ever stopped to consider just how much power your thoughts have over your life, over your success, over your happiness? Most people go through life never realizing that their inner world creates their outer world. They're like leaves blowing in the wind, reacting to whatever comes their way. But that's not you. Not anymore, because you're here and you're ready to take control. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Control my mind? That sounds like some kind of science fiction mumbo jumbo. But let me tell you, it's as real as the chair you're sitting in right now. And it's the secret that separates the extraordinary from the ordinary. You see, your mind is always working. It's like a factory that never shuts down. The question is, what kind of product is it producing? Is it producing thoughts of success, of growth, of possibility? Or is it churning out worry, doubt, and fear? Here's the kicker. You're the factory owner. You get to decide what gets produced. But most people, they've handed over the keys to their mental factory to anyone and everyone. They let the news, their coworkers, their circumstances dictate what they think about. And then they wonder why they're not getting the results they want in life. Well, I'll tell you why. It's because they're not in control of their most valuable asset, their mind. Now, I'm not saying it's easy. Taking control of your mind is one of the hardest things you'll ever do. But it's also the most rewarding, because when you control your mind, you control your life. Let me share a little story with you. Years ago, I met a young man named Tom. Tom was what you might call a chronic worrier. He worried about his job, his relationships, his future, you name it. Tom worried about it. One day I sat Tom down and I said, Tom, do you realize that worrying is like paying interest on a debt you may never owe? The look on his face is like a light bulb went off. You see, Tom had never considered that he had a choice in the matter. He thought worrying was just part of life, like breathing or sleeping. But once he realized he could choose his thoughts, everything changed. Tom started to practice what I call mental discipline. Every time a worried thought popped into his head, he'd replace it with a positive one. At first it was hard, really hard, but Tom stuck with it. And you know what happened? Within a year, Tom had gotten a promotion at work, met the love of his life, and was happier than he'd ever been. All because he decided to take control of his mind. Now, I'm not saying Tom never worried again. We're human, after all. But he learned to manage his thoughts, to direct them towards productive ends, rather than letting them run wild. And that's what I want for each and every one of you. I want you to become the master of your mental domain, because when you do, there's no limit to what you can achieve. So how do we do it? How do we take control of this powerful tool between our ears? Well, I'm glad you asked, because I've got a few strategies that I've seen work time and time again. First, you've got to become aware of your thoughts. Most people go through life on autopilot, never really paying attention to what's going on in their heads. But awareness is the first step to change. Start by taking a few minutes each day to just observe your thoughts. Don't judge them, don't try to change them, just notice them. It's like you're sitting on a park bench watching your thoughts go by like clouds in the sky. You might be surprised by what you see. You might notice patterns you never realized were there. Maybe you'll see that you spend a lot of time dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. Maybe you'll notice that you have a tendency to think negatively about yourself or others. Whatever you notice, remember, you're not your thoughts. You're an observer of your thoughts. And that simple shift in perspective can be incredibly powerful. Next, once you're aware of your thoughts, you can start to challenge them. Ask yourself, is this thought helping me or hurting me? Is it moving me closer to my goals or further away? You see, not all thoughts are created equal. Some thoughts empower us while others hold us back. And it's up to you to decide which ones you want to entertain. I like to think of it like this. Your mind is like a nightclub, and you're the bouncer. You get to decide which thoughts get in and which ones get turned away at the door. And let me tell you, you want to be one tough bouncer. Don't let those negative thoughts sweet talk their way in. Don't let those self-doubting thoughts flash a fake "I did." If a thought isn't going to contribute to the kind of mental environment you want to create, it doesn't get past the velvet rope. Period. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, but what if I can't stop the negative thoughts from coming? Well, here's the thing. You can't always control what thoughts pop into your head, but you control how long they stay there. It's like that old saying, you can't stop a bird from landing on your head, but you can stop it from building a nest there. The same is true for your thoughts. When a negative thought shows up, acknowledge it, thank it for its opinion, and then show it the door. Replace it with a thought that serves you better. For example, let's say you're about to give a big presentation at work, and that little voice in your head starts saying, you're going to mess this up. You're not prepared enough. They're all going to laugh at you. Instead of letting those thoughts take root, replace them with something like, I've prepared for this. I know my material. I'm going to do my best. And that's all I can ask of myself. See the difference? One set of thoughts leaves you feeling anxious and defeated before you even start. The other leaves you feeling confident and prepared. And here's the beautiful thing. The more you practice this, the easier it becomes. It's like working out a muscle. The more you exercise your mental control, the stronger it gets. Now, let's talk about another powerful tool for controlling your mind. Your focus, what you focus on, expands. It's as simple as that. If you focus on problems, guess what? You'll find more problems. If you focus on opportunities, you'll find more opportunities. If you focus on what's wrong in your life, you'll find plenty wrong. If you focus on what's right, you'll find plenty right. It's like that old story about the two shoe salesmen who were sent to Africa. The first one called back and said, "This is a terrible market. Nobody here wears shoes." The second one called back excited and said, "This is a fantastic market. Nobody here wears shoes." Same situation, different focus, completely different outcome. So I challenge you, start paying attention to where you're putting your mental energy. Are you focusing on what you want or what you don't want? Are you focusing on your goals or your obstacles? Remember, where focus goes, energy flows. So make sure you're directing your mental spotlight on the things that matter most. Now, let's talk about the power of questions. The questions you ask yourself shape your reality. They determine what you focus on and how you interpret your experiences. Most people ask themselves terrible questions. Questions like, why does this always happen to me? Or, what if I fail? These questions lead to terrible answers and terrible mental states. Instead, start asking yourself empowering questions. Questions like, what can I learn from this? Or how can I use this to my advantage? Or what's great about this situation? These questions force your mind to look for solutions, opportunities, and positive aspects. They put you in a resourceful state where you can take effective action. Remember, your mind is like a computer. It will dutifully work to answer whatever questions you feed it. So make sure you're asking questions that lead to the kind of answers you want. Now, let's talk about the importance of your daily rituals. Your mind doesn't just magically become disciplined. It requires daily practice, daily reinforcement. That's why I'm a big believer in morning routines. How you start your day sets the tone for everything that follows. So create a morning ritual that puts you in the right mental state. Maybe it's meditation. Maybe it's reading something inspirational. Maybe it's exercise. Maybe it's journaling. Whatever it is, make sure it's something that centers you, focuses you, and prepares you mentally for the day ahead. And don't just stop at mornings. Create rituals throughout your day that reinforce positive mental habits. Maybe it's taking a few deep breaths before every meeting. Maybe it's listing 3 things you're grateful for at lunch. Maybe it's reviewing your goals before bed. These rituals act like mental reset buttons. They pull you out of reactive mode and put you back in control. Now let's address something that trips up a lot of people. Negative self-talk. We all have that little voice in our head, and sometimes it can be our worst enemy. It's the voice that says, you're not good enough. You can't do this. Who do you think you are? First of all, recognize that this voice is not you. It's just a habit, a pattern of thinking that you've developed over time. And like any habit, it can be changed. Start by becoming aware of your self-talk. When you catch yourself in negative self-talk, stop and challenge it. Ask yourself, would I talk to a friend this way? If the answer is no, then why are you talking to yourself that way? Replace that negative self-talk with positive, supportive self-talk. Instead of I can't do this, try I'm learning and improving every day. Instead of I'm not good enough, try I'm doing my best, and that's enough. Remember, you become what you think about most of the time. So make sure your self-talk is building you up, not tearing you down. Now let's talk about the power of visualization. Your mind doesn't know the difference between something vividly imagined and something actually experienced. That's why visualization is such a powerful tool. Athletes use it to improve their performance. Surgeons use it to prepare for complex operations. And you can use it to program your mind for success. Take a few minutes each day to visualize your goals as if they've already been achieved. See yourself living the life you want, doing the things you want to do, being the person you want to be. Make it as vivid as possible. Use all your senses. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you feel? The more you can make it in your mind, the more your subconscious will work to make it a reality. This isn't some kind of magical thinking. It's about programming your mind to recognize opportunities, to stay motivated, to take the actions necessary to achieve your goals. Now, let's address something that holds a lot of people back, the fear of failure. This fear can paralyze us, keep us from taking risks, keep us from growing. But here's the thing, failure is not your enemy. Failure is your teacher. It's your opportunity to learn, to grow, to get better. Think about it. Every successful person you admire has failed, probably many times. The difference is they didn't let failure stop them. They used it as fuel. So I want you to start embracing failure. See it as feedback, not as a final verdict on your abilities or your worth. When you fail at something, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I use this to get better? This shift in perspective takes the sting out of failure and turns it into a powerful tool for growth. Remember, the only real failure is the failure to learn from your mistakes. Now let's talk about the company you keep. Jim Rohn. And yes, I'm talking about myself in the third person here. One said, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Your environment shapes your thinking more than you might realize. If you're surrounded by negative, cynical people, guess what? It's going to be a lot harder to maintain a positive, growth-oriented mindset. On the flip side, if you surround yourself with positive, ambitious people, their mindset will rub off on you. Their success will inspire you. Their support will lift you up. So take a good, hard look at the people in your life. Are they elevating you or holding you back? Are they feeding your dreams or starving them? Now, I'm not saying you should cut people out of your life. But you might need to limit your exposure to negative influences and seek out more positive ones. Join a mastermind group. Find a mentor. Attend seminars and workshops where you can connect with like-minded individuals. Create an environment that supports the kind of mindset you want to cultivate. Let's talk about the power of gratitude. Gratitude is like mental magic. It has the power to transform your entire outlook on life. When you're grateful, it's impossible to be negative. When you're focused on what you have, you can't focus on what you lack. When you appreciate the good in your life, you attract more good into your life. Make gratitude a daily practice. Every day, take a few minutes to think about what you're grateful for. It could be big things like your health or your family. It could be small things like a good cup of coffee or a beautiful sunset. The more you practice gratitude, the more you'll find to be grateful for. It's like tuning your mind to a different frequency. Suddenly, You start noticing all the good things that were there all along. Now let's address something that's become increasingly important in our modern world: managing information overload. We're bombarded with information 24/5. News, emails, messages, notifications. It's enough to make your head spin. And here's the thing, not all of this information is beneficial. A lot of it is just noise, and that noise can clutter up your mind, making it harder to focus, harder to think clearly, harder to stay positive. So you need to be intentional about what information you let into your mind. Be selective about what you read, what you watch, what you listen to. Choose sources that inform you, inspire you, elevate you. And don't be afraid to unplug regularly. Give your mind some quiet time to process, to reflect, to recharge. Some of your best thinking will happen when you step away from the constant stream of information. Now let's talk about the power of affirmations. Affirmations are positive statements that you repeat to yourself regularly. They're like mental programming, a way to override negative thought patterns and instill more positive ones. Some people are skeptical about affirmations, but here's the thing. Your mind is always affirming something. The question is, are you choosing those affirmations consciously, or are you letting your subconscious habits choose for you? Create a set of affirmations that reflect the mindset you want to cultivate. Statements like, I am capable of achieving great things. I learn and grow every day. I am worthy of success and happiness. Repeat these affirmations daily, preferably out loud. Say them with conviction. Even if you don't fully believe them at first, keep at it. Remember, repetition is the mother of skill. The more you repeat these positive affirmations, the more they'll become your default way of thinking. Now let's address something that trips up a lot of people: perfectionism. Perfectionism might seem like a positive trait, but it can be incredibly damaging to your mental health and your productivity. Perfectionists often have a hard time starting tasks because they're afraid they won't do them perfectly. Or they have trouble finishing tasks because they're never quite satisfied with the results. Here's the truth: perfection is an illusion. It's an impossible standard that will always leave you feeling inadequate. Instead of striving for perfection, strive for excellence. Excellence is about doing your best, learning from your mistakes, and continually improving. It's a much healthier, more achievable goal. Remember, done is better than perfect. It's better to complete a task at 80 than to endlessly tweak it trying to reach 100. Now, let's talk about the importance of patience. In our fast-paced world, we've become accustomed to instant gratification. We want results, and we want them now. But real, lasting change, especially when it comes to your mindset, takes time. It's not about making a dramatic transformation overnight. It's about making small, consistent improvements day after day. Think of it like compound interest. Those small daily improvements might not seem like much in the moment, but over time, they add up to massive changes. So be patient with yourself. Celebrate the small victories. Trust the process. Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither is a disciplined mind. Now, let's talk about the power of commitment. Commitment is what transforms a promise into reality. It's the fuel that powers your dreams, the glue that holds your goals together when things get tough. You see, most people dabble. They try something for a little while, and if they don't see immediate results, they give up. They're like butterflies, flitting from flower to flower, never staying long enough to gather any real nectar. But successful people, people who achieve great things, they commit. They decide what they want, and they stick with it through thick and thin. Commitment means saying, this is what I'm going to do, no matter what. It means pushing through the hard times, the doubts, the setbacks. It means staying the course, even when you don't feel like it, even when it's not convenient, even when others don't understand. And let me tell you, when you commit to taking control of your mind, when you commit to cultivating a positive, growth-oriented mindset, that's when the real magic happens. Because here's the thing, your mind will test your commitment. It'll throw up roadblocks. It'll try to lure you back into old, comfortable patterns. But if you stay committed, if you keep pushing forward, Eventually your mind will get with the program. It's like training a puppy. At first it's all over the place, hard to control. But with consistent training, with unwavering commitment, eventually that puppy becomes obedient, becomes an asset rather than a liability. Your mind is no different. Commit to training it, to disciplining it, and it will become your most powerful ally in achieving your dreams. Now let's address something that holds a lot of people back, the need for approval from others. Many of us spend far too much mental energy worrying about what other people think of us, seeking validation from the outside world. But here's the truth. You'll never be able to please everyone. And more importantly, you shouldn't try to, because when you're constantly seeking approval from others, you're giving away your power. You're letting other people's opinions control your thoughts, your actions, your life. True freedom, true control of your mind, comes when you learn to validate yourself. When you learn to approve of yourself regardless of what others think. This doesn't mean you become arrogant or stop caring about others. It means you develop a strong internal compass, a sense of self-worth that isn't dependent on external validation. Start by getting clear on your own values, your own standards. What's important to you? What do you believe in? What kind of person do you want to be? Then focus on living up to those standards. Seek to impress yourself, not others. At the end of each day, ask yourself, am I proud of how I live today? Did I act in alignment with my values? When you do this, something remarkable happens. You start to feel more confident, more authentic. You stop wasting mental energy trying to guess what others think of you. You become immune to criticism and judgment because you know your own worth. And ironically, when you stop seeking approval from others, that's often when you start to gain it, because people are attracted to those who are self-assured, who know who they are and what they stand for. Now let's talk about the power of decisiveness. Indecision is a major drain on your mental energy. When you're constantly waffling, constantly second-guessing yourself, you create mental friction that slows you down and stresses you out. Successful people, people who have mastered their minds, they're decisive. They gather the necessary information, they consider their options, and then they make a decision and move forward. They understand that a good decision made quickly is often better than a perfect decision made too late. They know that action brings clarity, that you learn more from doing than from endless deliberation. So practice being decisive in your daily life. Start with small decisions, what to have for lunch, what to wear, what book to read next. Make a choice and stick with it. As you build this habit of decisiveness, you'll find that it becomes easier to make bigger decisions. You'll trust yourself more. You'll act with more confidence. And here's the best part. Even if you make the wrong decision, you'll learn from it. You'll gain experience that will help you make better decisions in the future. But if you never decide, if you're always stuck in analysis paralysis, you'll never move forward. Now, let's address a major obstacle to mental control, the habit of complaining. Complaining is like mental rust. It corrodes your positivity, eats away at your motivation, and spreads negativity to those around you. And the worst part is, complaining is addictive. The more you do it, the more your brain gets wired to focus on the negative. It becomes a habit, a default response to any challenge or inconvenience. But here's the thing, complaining never solves anything. It doesn't change the situation, it just changes you, and not for the better. So I challenge you, go on a complaint fast. For the next week, commit to not complaining at all. Not out loud, not in your head. If you catch yourself starting to complain, stop and ask yourself, how can I reframe this situation positively? What can I do to change it or accept it? This isn't about ignoring problems or pretending everything is perfect. It's about shifting your focus from problems to solutions, from what's wrong to what you can do about it. You'll be amazed at how this simple shift can change your entire outlook. You'll start to see opportunities where before you only saw obstacles. You'll feel more empowered, more in control. And as an added bonus, you'll become the kind of person others want to be around. Because, let's face it, nobody enjoys being around a chronic complainer. Now, let's talk about the importance of continuous learning. Your mind is like a parachute. It only works when it's open. And one of the best ways to keep your mind open, to keep it sharp and flexible, is through constant learning. In today's rapidly changing world, the ability to learn, unlearn, and relearn is crucial. The most successful people, the ones who truly control their minds, are lifelong learners. They're constantly seeking new knowledge, new skills, new perspectives. They read voraciously. They ask questions. They seek out experiences that challenge their assumptions and expand their horizons. Make learning a daily habit. Read a book, listen to a podcast, take an online course. Seek out people who know things you don't and learn from them. Be curious about everything. And remember, learning isn't just about acquiring information. It's about applying what you learn, about turning knowledge into wisdom. As you commit to continuous learning, you'll find that your mind becomes more agile, more adaptable. You'll be better equipped to handle whatever challenges come your way. You'll see connections and opportunities that others miss. Now let's address something that trips up a lot of people: the tendency to dwell on the past. Many of us spend far too much mental energy rehashing past events, reliving old hurts, or wishing we had done things differently. But here's the truth. The past is gone. You can't change it. All you can change is how you think about it and what you do with the lessons it taught you. Dwelling on the past is like driving a car while constantly looking in the rearview mirror. You're going to crash. You need to glance at the past for context, for lessons, but your focus needs to be on the road ahead. So when you find yourself dwelling on the past, gently but firmly redirect your thoughts to the present and the future. Ask yourself, what can I do right now to move forward? What do I want my future to look like? And what can I do today to make that happen? Remember, your past does not define you. It's simply a series of lessons that have prepared you for this moment, for the opportunities that lie ahead. Now, let's talk about the power of forgiveness. Holding on to grudges, resentment, and anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It doesn't hurt them. It hurts you. It occupies valuable mental real estate that could be used for more productive thoughts. Forgiveness isn't about condoning what happened or pretending it didn't hurt. It's about freeing yourself from the burden of negative emotions. It's about taking back control of your mental state. So if you're holding on to past hurts, consider letting them go. Forgive not because the other person deserves forgiveness, but because you deserve peace. Forgive not to erase the past, but to create space for a better future. And remember, sometimes the person you need to forgive most is yourself. We all make mistakes, we all have regrets, but beating yourself up over past errors doesn't change them. It just robs you of your present joy and future potential. Now let's address the importance of mental flexibility. In a world that's constantly changing, rigidity of thought is a liability. The ability to adapt your thinking, to consider new perspectives, to change your mind when presented with new information. These are crucial skills for success and happiness. Many people pride themselves on being steadfast in their beliefs, but often this is just a euphemism for being closed-minded. True strength comes from being open to new ideas, from being willing to challenge your own assumptions. So practice mental flexibility. When you encounter a viewpoint different from your own, resist the urge to immediately dismiss it. Instead, try to understand it. Ask yourself, what if this were true? How would that change things? This doesn't mean you have to agree with every idea you encounter. It means you're willing to consider them, to expand your perspective. It means you're more interested in finding the truth than in being right. As you cultivate this mental flexibility, you'll find that you become more creative, more innovative. You'll be better equipped to solve problems and seize opportunities. You'll be more resilient in the face of change. Now let's talk about the power of focus. In our distraction-filled world, the ability to focus deeply on a task is becoming increasingly rare and increasingly valuable. Many people pride themselves on being multitaskers, but the truth is multitasking is a myth. What we call multitasking is really just rapid task switching, and it's incredibly inefficient. It fragments your attention increases stress and reduces the quality of your work. Instead, cultivate the ability to focus deeply on one task at a time. When you're working, work. When you're resting, rest. When you're with family or friends, be fully present with them. Practice what's called single tasking. Choose one important task, set a timer for 25 minutes and focus solely on that task until the timer goes off. No checking emails, no scrolling through your phone, just pure focused work. As you build this habit of deep focus, you'll find that you get more done in less time. You'll produce higher quality work. You'll feel a sense of accomplishment and flow that scattered attention never provides. Now, let's address something that holds a lot of people back. The fear of the unknown. Our minds are wired to prefer the familiar. Even if the familiar isn't serving us well, we often stay in unsatisfying jobs, relationships, or situations simply because we're afraid of the unknown alternatives. But here's the thing. Everything you want is on the other side of fear. Growth, opportunity, success. They all lie beyond your comfort zone. So start embracing the unknown. See it not as something to be feared, but as an adventure to be embarked upon. Every time you face the unknown, you grow. You become stronger, more confident, more capable. Start small. Try new food. Take a different route to work. Strike up a conversation with a stranger. As you build your courage muscle, you'll find that bigger unknowns become less daunting. Remember, the greatest adventures in life begin by stepping into the unknown. The most successful people are those who are willing to bet on themselves, to take calculated risks, to venture into uncharted territory. Now let's talk about the importance of mental rehearsal. Just as athletes visualize their performance before a big game, you can use mental rehearsal to prepare for important events in your life. Before a job interview, a presentation, or any challenging situation, take some time to mentally rehearse. See yourself performing at your best. Imagine the sights, sounds, and feelings of success. This isn't just feel-good nonsense. Mental rehearsal has been scientifically proven to improve performance. It primes your brain for success, building neural pathways that support your desired outcome. And here's a pro tip. Don't just visualize the perfect scenario. Also, mentally rehearse how you'll handle potential obstacles or setbacks. This builds your resilience and problem-solving skills, preparing you to handle whatever comes your way. Now let's address the power of your self-image. Your self-image, the way you see yourself, has a profound impact on your thoughts, your actions, and ultimately, your results in life. If you see yourself as someone who's always struggling, always falling short, that's likely to become a self-fulfilling prophecy. But if you see yourself as capable, resilient, and worthy of success, you'll act in ways that bring that vision to life. So take some time to examine your self-image. Is it serving you well? Is it aligned with your goals and aspirations? If not, it's time for an upgrade. Start consciously cultivating a positive, empowering self-image. See yourself as the person you want to become. Act as if you're already that person. As the saying goes, fake it till you make it. But I prefer to say, faith it till you make it. Have faith in your potential, in your ability to grow and change. Remember, your self-image isn't set in stone. It's a mental construct. And like any mental construct, you have the power to change it. Now, as we near the end of our time together, I want to address one final crucial point: the importance of taking action. All the mental control in the world won't make a difference if you don't translate it into action. Your mind is a powerful tool, but it's not the end goal. It's the means to an end. And that end is a life of purpose, of achievement, of fulfillment. So use the mental control you're developing to spur yourself into action. Use it to overcome procrastination, to push through fear, to persist in the face of setbacks. Remember, thoughts are things, but actions are everything. It's not enough to think positively. You must act positively. It's not enough to visualize success. You must work towards it. As you leave here today, I want you to commit to taking one action, however small, towards your goals. and then another, and another. Let the control you're gaining over your mind propel you forward into a life of purpose and achievement. In conclusion, remember this. Your mind is the most powerful tool you possess. It can be your greatest ally or your worst enemy. The choice is yours. Choose to take control. Choose to cultivate a mind that supports your dreams, that propels you towards success, that fills your life with joy and purpose. You have within you right now, at this very moment, all that you need to become the person you've always dreamed of being. The power is in your mind. The time is now. The choice is yours. Thank you.